Diet and dieting, it's a subject that we all battle with. Whether it's for weight loss or because of your heart condition, or maybe it's because your favorite star is on a particular diet. Our diet is central to us like nothing other. So what should I follow? Keto or paleo? Atkins or all in? High protein or low carb? I, for one, could really do with some expert advice. Hello all, welcome to our podcast, The Prescription on Earshot Media. I'm your host, Dr. Karan Thakur. I hope you're all safe and sound. In this episode, we will be joined by Dr. Kajal Yeptho, Chief Dietitian and Head of Department at Indraprastha Apollo Hospitals.
Indraprastha Apollo Hospitals presents The Prescription in association with Earshot.in.
Dr. Kajal, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here today.
And this is a really exciting episode for us because, dieting, weight loss, it's a vast subject and, we all need to navigate it at some time. So we're very glad to have you on.
Yeah, I do understand, yeah.
So let's start with what is a diet and what really constitutes a diet?
Okay. So let me first answer your question. What is a diet? Diet is nothing but what we eat every day. It's just a big word given to it, that diet, and people say, oh, I'm dieting. It's not dieting. You are on a diet. You are eating food every day. But it is the type of food what you eat every day, the quantity of food what you eat every day, for the purpose of food what you eat every day, that should be diet, basically. That should be diet. Dieting is actually a very different kind of way of expressing it or mentioning it, what dieting means, right? So we all are on a diet, but it's a regular balanced diet or a healthy diet what we eat. We talk about diets, it could be therapeutic diets, it could be weight loss diets, or it could be some specific diets. That could be mentioned as a diet, but otherwise it's the regular food what we eat every single day.
Right. So you mentioned the different types of diets,
Yes.
therapeutic or weight loss or others.
Yes.
So what are the factors that determine what type of a diet you should be on?
Okay, so we'll talk about first is the normal diet or a balanced diet or a healthy diet should be consisting of all kind of nutrients what we eat in a day, and that could be your proteins, your carbohydrates, your fats, your vitamins, minerals, oils, etc. But it is very difficult for a layman to understand that he or she is eating a protein or a carbohydrate or vitamins or minerals. So normally we try and express it into the food groups, and food groups would be basically dals, roti, rice, sabzi, fruits, etc. That would be your balanced diet, and definitely the quantity and the amount depends upon the individual to individual, because each person's body is different, the requirements are different. It cannot be the same for two people, But when we talk about therapeutic diets, are basically diets in a diseased condition. Okay. And in a diseased condition, there are certain restrictions that a particular nutrient needs to be taken in excess amount or in minimal amount, and that nutrient source is the one which we modify. So for example, simple example I would like to say is you don't need to take too much of fat, and fat will basically coming from your oils or what you eat in your day, in your diet. So we restrict it, and that food stuff is the one which is restricted. So that becomes more of a therapeutic diet kind of, right?
So what is a healthy diet?
Okay. So a healthy diet would be having components of all the food groups. So I normally tell people that close your eyes and think about food. So when you think about food, you look into a plate. That's what happens. Even anybody who's hearing me should be closing their eyes and think about their lunch plate or their dinner plate. So what is cooked at home? So you can see maybe roti, you can see rice, you can see dal, you can see curd, maybe you can see some vegetable. If you can see all these 5 to 6 components, then that is a healthy diet. But if you see something which is unhealthy on it, and it could be fried foods or lots of sweets, then I would say that is not a healthy diet, right?
Unfortunately, when we close our eyes, I think that's
you see
what
that.
we
So
usually see.
that is where we would like to take a person to, that what is a healthy diet, and that's what you opt for. Simple way, another way is you make them understand what is healthy. And if there is, for example, an apple or a samosa in front of you, if you are conscious, your hand reaches out for the apple.
Yeah.
And not the samosa. So that comes down to a healthier diet. But it is, yes, very difficult to make somebody understand what is healthy, what is balanced. But if we go back and look into what is prepared at home, anything which is prepared at home food, I would always say it is healthy. It is healthy.
Right. And your diet is basically consisting of various meals.
Yes.
Now, I'm sure all meals are important, but why is it that breakfast is considered more important or dinner is supposed to be light? I mean, what's the science behind that?
The science behind that is very simple. From the morning when we get up, our activity starts, right? We are in a rush hour to go to work or doing home household work, etc., whatever it is. So the energy demands are much more in the morning. And if you try and plot your graph of activities, your morning graph activities will be much more than by the end of the day. So as your graph goes down, probably even your food intake should also go down, because the requirements actually come down. And then you need to go to sleep. You cannot sleep on a very heavy stomach also. So we say when it's like morning hours are your activity hours where you need more of fuel, and later on as the day goes down, the activities goes down, so you need less amount of fuel, and food acts as a fuel for the body.
And what about snacking? I mean, it's a very popular concept and one I'm sure that science also recommends.
Yes.
So how important is snacking? Is it good or bad? And what should be an ideal snack?
Snacking, I would not say good or bad, but yes, it helps us to elevate our moods basically, right? And especially if we do snackings in a certain period of time when you are really hungry, or maybe sometimes you're in a very good mood, or sometimes you're even depressed. So healthy snacks help us to come back to our natural state of life, or rather senses also, I would say. So snacking can be done. There is no harm in doing it, but the type of snacks what you include should be such that it does not affect your next following meal. So for example, at the 4 o'clock or a 5 o'clock, which we call it as a culprit time, if you start having real heavy snacks, then the healthy meal, the dinner meal, which is a healthy meal, home cooked meal, is waiting for you. You don't do justice to that, right? So you've already had the unhealthy stuff. You're avoiding the healthy food which has been prepared at home. So it's not right. So you do snacking, you do eat, but you eat something which elevates your mood and keeps you happy. That's most important. So healthy snacking is the best. And there could be many things to do healthy snacking.
Right. And you talk about mood elevation that can come through snacking or through other means.
Yeah.
I mean, I for one, I go to Starbucks or rely on that caffeine kick, at various times of the day. And this could be because you're at work, or, you just want to get up in the morning and, feel better.
Yes.
How important is caffeine in your diet, and how bad is it?
Caffeine, we already know that it elevates the mood. It keeps you more awake, right? But an excess amount of caffeine makes you prey to having it on regular basis. You can develop a habit about it, right? So 2 times in a day, I would say, is still okay, but it cannot become a regular habit of doing it. You need to find out other ways and means of elevating your mood, and that could be even listening to music, going out, sitting under a tree, talking to somebody. All that also can help. You can't just say that, no, caffeine is the best thing to elevate my mood.
Or listening to this podcast.
Yeah, could be. Why not? Some more healthy talking.
So caffeine is also hidden in many foods. Is that not right?
Yes.
We sometimes don't like sugar. We don't realize how much caffeine we consume because we only associate it with coffee.
Yes.
Would you like to talk about that?
Yes. So sugar is, again, there have been a lot of research also which says that sugar can be addictive, right? So try to minimize the sugar content also. I do understand some amount is fine enough, but you cannot just rely directly on it, and say that, okay, again, eating sweets helps me to keep my moods, and I feel better, or I was depressed and if I eat a chocolate or something, it helps me. No, there are other ways and means. Just a smaller piece in moderation is still allowed, but not more than that. It cannot become an everyday habit. And when you become dependent on it, it's like no at all. Yeah.
So I'd like to move on to the fad diets that, one really comes across now on social media, with friends when you chat and, or you go to the gym and, somebody's on a particular type of a diet. Yeah. Is this really something elitist, or is there some science behind these various diets as a whole?
Yeah. Okay, it's a very good question, which I would like to answer, because now everybody knows about all kinds of fad diets. And secondly, it is mainly because it has become so popular with popular figures. And that is why it has become so popular, right? But as humans, we need variety. We need change in life, that is very important. And for that, probably I feel people fall prey to all these kind of diets. Basically, it is the discipline which works and not these fad diets. So fad diets may work for a temporary period of time, but it cannot be permanent solutions, right? So for example, you're doing it for weight loss. You do it for a couple of months, you lose some amount of weight, and then you get back to your normal, not a disciplined lifestyle, and get back doing to the same what you were doing. All that weight is going to come back, right? So it can be a momentarily thing. Probably you have tried all kinds of weight loss means, kind of, and it didn't happen. You did this and it did give you number of kgs of weight loss. Remember, you need to hang on to that weight loss, right? And for that, again, you need to have a disciplined lifestyle. You cannot go back to your normal diet, right? So for people who nothing worked, and rather they tried everything, and if that has helped, that's why it is called as a fad diet, may work for a interim period, but later on, by the end of the day, it's the discipline which is most important. So if we can disciplinize ourselves right from the beginning, we would not like to do any kind of fad diets, right? Because these fad diets are deficient in some nutrients, which can cause deficiencies and can lead to major health conditions.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah,
so are there any downsides, the dark side to these fad diets?
Yes. For example, I don't remember the name of the person or the figure who was on keto diets, and unfortunately she even lost her life because of that, because her organs were affected because of the keto diet, right? So maybe she did it without any kind of supervision or without any kind of medical advice or so. So I would always say it has got a downside of it. They have lot of side effects. So, but again, I said for an interim period, if you're doing it and it has given you some benefits, you still have to go back to a disciplined lifestyle. So why don't we try a disciplined lifestyle right from the beginning? This is what I would like to advise as a dietitian, as a nutritionist.
And keto is now the fad, but a few years earlier, Atkins was very big. And then we had a lot of research coming out, talking about how dangerous high-fat foods are, which was recommended in Atkins.
Yes.
So what is your take on, these specific diets?
So again, I say it is, people need variety, people need change. It's like how fashion changes.
Right.
Similarly, this also changes, kind of. So people need variety, and people need something more spicier things to do in life, and nothing more can be done to be the diet, because what God has made as vegetables and fruits, we cannot turn them over and get into something different. Ultimately, by the end of the day, we have to eat the natural foods. That's most important, right? So that is the only reason.
And this may not be a fad, but I think it's been around since human existence, is some sort of fasting. I mean, whether it is for religious reasons or for health reasons, or for other sets of beliefs. But currently, intermittent fasting is really big. What's the science behind that?
Yeah, intermittent fasting, there have been a lot of researches which are being conducted, and they are still being conducted, though it is not yet advised freely, like, okay, people should do it, right? But yes, it helps to regulate your dietary habits a little bit. But again, to the time frame what we are talking about in our intermittent fasting is very difficult to be adhered to. It's very difficult. So probably for people who can adhere to that timing, it may help them for some time. But even in those eating hours, you need to be very careful what you are eating. It's not that you can eat everything and anything in those eating hours, right? There is a regulation of eating. So it has shown results, intermittent fasting, but it has just lately come up. So I'm sure it's going to take a number of years actually to say that, yes, this diet really works. And there have been studies, people are doing research on that, right? But if we go back, what our forefathers or they did some kind of intermittent fasting. If you see, they did fasting also, right? It was basically for them on a religious basis, kind of just eating fruits for the day, eating just maybe liquids for the day. So it detoxifies, it helps you to remove your toxins. And secondly, not only that, it even helps you to, build up your level of, I'm not getting that word basically, but it's like, yes, you can give away with all your taste and your taste buds and your cravings.
That's it,
Self-control, it helps you in that. So 6 days a week, you eat everything, and then the 7th day you have had a fast. But that fast also has to be something where you're taking only nutritious food, lighter food, kind of. So that is what was fasting done years back, what in the earlier days. But people have twisted and turned it, and these days the fastings can be all kinds of fastings, kind of with all kinds of food also.
Right.
So if you do fasting, yes, you can always do it as a detox way, kind of.
And now to the big subject of the day is weight loss. And we all know that diet and exercise both play a very important role, but we'll focus on diet and its importance. So what sort of a diet should one follow if you want to lose weight?
Okay. Again, I would say weight loss is very individualistic. It will work differently for each person. Each person's body needs to be identified, how much amount of weight loss needs to be done. Secondly, the physical activity the person does, the dietary habits they have, etc. So it cannot be that if a particular diet has worked for A, then it will even work for B also. It will be different for each one of them, right? But yes, we know weight loss. When do you gain weight? There will be only 2 or 3 reasons to gain weight. First is lack of physical activity, and you eat as much as you are eating. Secondly, you eat more than what your exercise routine is, so you put on weight. Secondly or thirdly, it could be maybe because of some medical reasons, right? So you identify what was the reason for the weight gain, and then work only on that particular aspect, kind of, because there are people who eat everything and anything and they have never gained weight, right? So those are happy-go-lucky people. But there are people, so you need to identify the reason for weight gain, and then you focus on that reason and try and modify that particular aspect. So it could be exercise, it could be diet, or it could be any kind of comorbid condition also. But weight loss diet would be rather, I would say, it will have more of fiber into it. It will have more of protein into it, less of refined carbohydrates, less of fat. This is what, and lots of fluids or water, we say. So that's what a weight loss diet should consist of.
And what about protein shakes? Do they help?
I would say protein shakes are actually replacements. You don't want to eat something, and you want to take more amount of protein at one particular go, then probably protein shakes do help, but they are replacement. But you take a protein shake also, and then along with that you take other kind of foods also along, then no, they are mainly as replacements. They cannot be as supplements, kind of. So they just help you momentarily to give more of protein. You cannot eat in any other form, then it is okay.
And if one were to come to you and consult with you to lose weight, what are the few top things that you would generically tell everybody?
Okay, so three things I would say. First is I would find out what is their dietary pattern, right? Secondly, I would look into their physical activity, and I would even ask them is, have they ever tried losing weight on their own? Because if they have tried losing weight on their own and they have not succeeded, that is the time when they go to a professional. Otherwise, they don't come to a professional otherwise, So, and I ask them that, okay, you did try to lose weight, and what happened that it came back, and that is what you need to focus on. And that would be my counseling, instead of trying to tell them cut this, cut that, cut this, cut that, kind of, because that becomes more of negative things. So focus on what helped, why did it come back, what they could not do it on their own, because by the end of the day, it is the person himself or herself who has to work for their diet, for their exercise, for everything. I might give just one-time consult to them, kind of. So work on that particular area, and that is going to help. That's what my mantra is. So a certain degree of
self-awareness is important.
Yes, my mantra is that, because I would not like somebody to come and tell me, okay, fine, you send me every day morning what you ate, no. You have to be self-reliant. That's most important.
So you touched upon therapeutic diets a bit earlier on this episode, and I'll just come back to that. We've just had this entire spate of COVID, and now we are seeing COPD, and we are seeing diabetes. We've had a lot of discussion around that. Are there any specific interventions that you would like to share for diabetics, 1, and 2 for people with respiratory distress?
I don't want to make very general statements because each diabetic patient would be different from each one. COPD also will be different from each one. But I would like each diabetic patient to understand that what causes their blood sugar levels to go up and down. If they understand that, they can manage their diabetes on their own.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they can actually, right? So those are the facts which we need to tell them, and if they are able to do that, that would be the best, And mainly we look into is refined carbohydrates, because they give a spurt of blood sugars immediately as soon as they are consumed. So try to keep that at bay. Have regular exercise. If they are on medication, try and take medication on regular basis. Diabetes is like a stool with 3 legs. Exercise, the medication, and diet. Any one of them is not done, the stool topples. Right? So this is what I normally tell to my diabetic patients. And COPD is a little difficult to be actually said, because there's so many factors. Environmental factors also play a very significant role at that particular time, and which we don't have any control on. So, however, whatever precautions they can take on that, maintain weight, do regular exercise, and diet also, see to it that they don't put on, like they have a diet which does not help them to put on too much of weight, because that definitely affects the COPD patients. And have a good healthy diet for them, and identify food triggers which they may have, and that can cause a problem. So, and that he or she himself or herself will be able to find out those triggers.
And in many cases, some women are so obsessed with, how they look, that even when they get pregnant, they are unfortunately, not eating a healthy diet. What's your recommendation for pregnant women and the diet that they should be consuming?
I feel pregnant women, they should be seeing a professional, very important, when they go and see the doctor. And they definitely go and see the doctor. So doctor always prescribes to go to a nutritionist or a dietitian and get a good, I would just modify their diet if needed. If they are eating healthy, we appreciate and we say, oh, please continue doing the same. But if we find any lack in it, yes, you need to modify. So it's good to be conscious about your own self, because you need to love yourself, very important, right? But you cannot stop eating, or you cannot give away healthy food just to look good, kind of. That should not be a case. And especially when you're pregnancy, because pregnancy is actually a double demand on the body. You have a baby who's solely dependent on nutrition on the mother. So we can't be so selfish at that time. And there are ways and means of losing the weight post-pregnancy, if you're aware of it.
And what do you consume to boost your immunity?
Immunity, I say, immunity again cannot be coming overnight, okay? It has to be built up over the years together. So have a diet which has got lots of fruits, lots of vegetables, good quality protein, lean meat, that is, we talk about eggs and chicken and all that if you're a non-vegetarian, milk and milk products, low-fat milk and milk products, healthy cereals, that is whole grain cereals, dals, pulses. All these are the ones which has to be in your plate. So
mix and match.
Yeah, again, we go back, and I would say close your eyes, look into your plate, divide your plate into 2 portions, that is half, 50-50. Again, that one half will remain just like that. The other half needs to be made into another, that is 25 and 25. 125 will be probably your fruits and the other vegetables. The other half could be your milk and milk products, and the other 4 halves will be basically your pulses or meat or poultry, whichever you're eating, and your carbohydrates. So that's how you see your plate. We call it as a quarter plate, making the plate into different divisions. So this is what you need to think about, that do you have those 4 items on your plate or not? If you don't have those 4 items on your plate, then it's not a balanced diet,
And our show is called The Prescription. So before we sign off, I just want you to advise to our listeners, since we are in the festive season and, we're coming into the new year, lots of festivities around us. What is your recommendation for moderation?
Yes. Okay. First of all, I know all of us are going to make one 31st December. We'll say, okay, my next year is going to, I'm going to try, and resolution is to lose weight. We all do that and we fail. We all fail. Okay. I will include myself also in that. But even at times, I feel even that thought process of losing weight helps, right? So whatever best you can do to lose weight, whatever best you can do, even small changes in life also helps. So if 2021 was not a very good one, 22 will be a little better, 23 could be much more better. This is where I would like to say. So 3 main thing is maintain your weight. If people who are overweight, try to come down to a weight which you can maintain. Have a healthy diet, exercise regularly, very, very important. I know it's easy to preach than to practice, but yes, very important. And try and include a lot of fruits and vegetables. This is what our diet actually lacks. We do take dals, we do take rice, we do take, some amount of milk and milk products also, but fruits and vegetables which are rich in fiber, antioxidants is most important in today's day for all of us. So include that. Even if you reach out your goal next year that, okay, every day I'll have twice salad and 2 fruits per day, I think you've done it.
Great. Dr. Kajal, thank you for coming to our podcast.
Thank you. My pleasure. And everybody have a healthy and a happy day.
That was Dr. Kajal from Indraprastha Apollo Hospitals, who joined us for this episode of The Prescription. Do encourage your friends and family to listen to our podcast on Earshot.in or the Earshot app. It helps our tribe grow. Till the next episode, stay happy and healthy.
Indraprastha Apollo Hospitals presents The Prescription in association with Earshot.in.
Earshot, here and now.